In today's video, we're uncovering the hidden stories behind the forgotten cartoon characters who were mysteriously removed from their shows. Characters who were once everywhere, or some who were side characters, but we all noticed them, but suddenly were completely gone. Was it censorship, creative decisions, or something more behind the scenes? Stick around, because we're not just naming names, we're breaking down exactly what happened to them, how they fit into their shows, and the real reason they were kicked to the cartoon curb. And who knows, one of your favorites might just be on this list. Welcome to Animation Memory, the channel where we dive into the shows that shaped our childhoods, one lost frame at a time. Let's get into the video. Number 8, Miss Bellum, the Powerpuff Girls.
Good day, Miss Bellum. How is every little thing?
Sarah Bellum, the real brain behind Townsville's operations, the calm and the chaos. The one person in the Powerpuff Girls who actually had things under control. If the mayor was the bumbling face of the city, then Ms. Bellum, she was its backbone. But somewhere between sugar, spice, and everything nice, Ms. Bellum disappeared. So what happened? Let's get one thing straight. Ms. Bellum wasn't just a secretary, she was the embodiment of competence. When monsters attacked, she had a plan. She even read bedtime stories to the mayor before he slept. She practically ran the city while letting the mayor think he did. Even though we rarely saw her full face, Ms. Bellum was everywhere. She offered advice to the girls, protected them when needed, and served as a steady, smart female role model. She was the grown-up the Powerpuff Girls could count on. Then came 2016, the reboot. New look, new voices, and one very noticeable absence. The show acknowledged her departure in a single episode titled Bye Bye Bellum. In it, she officially resigns from her job. And as always, she does it with elegance and a mic drop of a note that reads, "Dear Mayor, by the time you read this, I will be gone. By working as your assistant every day for the past 12 years, I have accumulated about 1,000 vacation days that I am required to use." Miss Bellum woke up one random day and decided to go on a 1,000-day vacation. I feel bad for the mayor because he is definitely going to miss her. Many fans did not enjoy the idea of Miss Bellum being removed, especially when they found out the reason for her removal. And when asked about the decision to remove her, executive producer Nick Jennings said, "We felt like Miss Bellum wasn't quite indicative of the kind of messaging we wanted to give out at this time, so we sort of had to have her move on. And that was a good choice, I think, on our part." So, let me get this straight. They cut Ms. Bellum, a smart, competent woman, because of how she looked and sounded, but they still aired the episode where the Powerpuff Girls, literal children, are twerking in front of a crowd? Yeah, real great messaging, guys. Number 7, Sparky, Fairly OddParent.
Got a great deal on the carpet.
Oh my gosh, your dog can talk?
No I can't.
Timmy Turner, a pink hat-wearing, buck-toothed kid who got every child's dream, but still found ways to still mess things up. But somewhere along the way, something changed. Or should I say, someone was added. A talking, singing fairy dog with superpowers. And just as fast as he arrived, he vanished. First airing in 2001, the Fairly OddParents became one of Nickelodeon's biggest hits. It mixed slapstick humor with imaginative magic logic, following Timmy and his two fairy godparents, Cosmo and Wanda, who grant his every wish, which usually spirals into chaos. But like a lot of long-running shows, it started evolving. Sparky was introduced in Season 9 as Timmy's fairy dog. He's hyper, talks nonstop, and has magical powers of his own. He even gets his own flashy theme song. So why bring in Sparky? Okay, maybe they wanted to shake things up, keep the show fresh, add a new character to spark new storylines. But here's the thing, Sparky didn't add anything. In fact, he kinda derailed everything. Sparky kinda disrupted the dynamic. Before Sparky, the Cosmo-Wanda-Timmy triangle was tight. It just looked like Sparky threw off the rhythm. He was like the new kid in class who tries way too hard to be funny, and ends up just being there. Sparky was completely removed from the show after Season 9. No goodbye episode, no in-universe explanation. He's just gone. Like, poof. And here's the plot twist. When Season 10 rolled around, the show introduced another new character. Chloe Carmichael, a girl who shares Timmy's fairies. Sparky, never mentioned again. Did he go to a magical dog farm? Did Jorgen banish him to Fairy Pound? Did he wish himself out of the show? Nobody knows. Nickelodeon never gave a proper reason, but fans? Oh, they had thoughts. Most saw Sparky as a sign that the show was running out of ideas and trying to fix something that wasn't broken. Sparky wasn't removed because he was hated. He was removed because he never fit. In a show built on a tight, quirky family dynamic, Sparky felt like a character from a totally different cartoon. Loud, gimmicky, and ultimately unnecessary. And the biggest lesson? Adding a new character doesn't automatically refresh a show. Not if it messes with the chemistry that made it great in the first place. Sparky wasn't a bad dog. He was just in the wrong yard. Number 6. Iggy from Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold, The cool, jazzy slice-of-life show where football-headed kids navigated city life, friendship, and feelings with more emotional depth than most adult dramas. Every background kid had a name, a personality, a purpose. But then there's Iggy, tall hair, sunglasses, mysterious aura. A background character turned plot device, who ended up being erased after one infamous episode titled Arnold Betrays Iggy. In this episode titled Arnold Betrays Iggy, Arnold accidentally exposes the secret that Iggy wears bunny pajamas. Naturally, in the unforgiving social world of Hillwood Elementary, this leads to public ridicule and embarrassment. Iggy is devastated, angry, and despises Arnold. So what does Arnold do? He tries to apologize? He tries to make it up to him, and then he agrees to humiliate himself by wearing bunny pajamas to school in front of everyone. Well, Iggy lets it happen. He watches Arnold get humiliated, he lets the entire school mock Arnold, and only after that he goes, "Okay, Arnold, we're even now." Fans and critic alike universally despise this episode, calling it one of the worst episodes. This episode sparked real backlash, not from parents, from kids, from fans. Iggy was suddenly the most hated character in the series. He went from cool background guy to how dare you hurt Arnold in 11 minutes flat. And the creators heard it. After that episode, Iggy is gone. No more speaking roles, no more spotlight, barely even background cameos. It was like the show put him in cartoon jail. Not killed off, just forgotten. And it wasn't some studio memo. This was organic exile by fan rejection, a rare moment when the audience said, "No thanks," and the show actually listened. Iggy wasn't removed because of controversy or budget or a reboot. He was removed because of one bad character moment that shattered his likability, and fans never forgave him. It's proof that in cartoons, as in life, character is everything. You can be mysterious, cool, and iconic looking, but if you cross the main character, you might just find yourself erased from the block. Number 5. Dr. Monroe from The Simpsons.
Hi, friends. I'm Dr. Marvin Monroe. Does this scene look familiar?
The Simpsons has been around longer than some countries' political leaders. It's iconic, it's immortal, and over 700 episodes deep, it's also full of forgotten faces. And one of the first to disappear? Dr. Marvin Monroe, the chain-smoking, stress-ridden family therapist with a voice like gravel in a blender. Back in the earliest seasons, I'm talking Simpsons with weird animation early, Dr. Monroe was Springfield's resident psychiatrist. You probably remember him from the episode There's No Disgrace Like Home, where Homer takes the family to Monroe's therapy center. The solution? Hooking the entire Simpson family to electroshock therapy machines. Dr. Monroe popped up now and then, always trying to apply textbook psychology to the chaotic tornado that is the Simpson family. But after a few seasons, he just kind of vanished. No send-off, no retirement, just gone. Here's where it gets super Simpsons. In later episodes, we see a Marvin Monroe Memorial Hospital, implying he died. Characters refer to him as the late doctor. Marvin Monroe. No one questions it. No explanation. Just, he's dead now, moving on. But then, in season 15, after being off the radar for over a decade, Dr. Marvin Monroe suddenly walks back into The Simpsons. It happens in an episode where Marge becomes a best-selling author, and while she's at a book signing, Marvin shows up out of nowhere. Marge, visibly shocked, blurts out, "Dr. Monroe? I haven't seen you in years." To which he casually replies, "I've been very sick." That's it. No further explanation, just, "I've been sick." So sick, apparently, that it kept him off-screen for nearly 10 years. And then, as if that wasn't strange enough, he vanishes again. Fast forward another decade to Treehouse of Horror 25, the Halloween special where the Simpsons come face-to-face with the ghostly versions of their old Tracy Ullman Show selves. Guess who shows up? The ghost of Dr. Marvin Monroe. Marge, once again, is stunned and asks what happened. And this time, he tells her, "I was stuck in limbo." Then poof, he disappears again. The guy basically Lazarus his way back into continuity like nothing happened. And the show expects you to just roll with it. Honestly, peak Simpsons chaos. But here's the real reason behind his strange disappearance. And it has nothing to do with in-universe sickness or ghostly limbo. It was his voice.
My theory is that the subject will be socially maladjusted and will...
His original voice actor, Harry Shearer, gave him that distinct, gravelly, raspy tone that made Monroe sound like he smoked 10 cigars and drank a gallon of espresso before each therapy session. It was intentionally rough and scratchy, which fit the character perfectly, but it came at a cost. Shearer himself admitted that the voice was extremely hard and painful to perform for long periods, and given that The Simpsons already had him voicing multiple major characters like Mr. Burns, Smithers, Ned Flanders, Principal Skinner, Reverend Lovejoy, and more. It just wasn't worth the vocal strain to keep Monroe in rotation. The show's writers even confirmed this in DVD commentaries, specifically saying the voice was too difficult to sustain, so rather than recast or explain his disappearance, they just quietly phased him out. Later, when fans pointed out Monroe's absence, the writers leaned into the gag, jokingly suggesting he had died, building a memorial hospital in his name, and eventually bringing him back with that "I've been very sick" line as a tongue-in-cheek nod to real-life production decisions. Number 4. Mona Lisa from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Every turtle had their thing. Mikey had pizza, Donnie had gadgets, Leo had the leadership complex, and Raph had Mona Lisa. No, not the painting. We're talking about the mutant lizard girl who showed up once, stole hearts, threw hands, and then got totally erased from the franchise like she never existed. So what happened to Mona Lisa, and why did she disappear faster than a Foot Clan ninja? Mona Lisa first appeared in the 1987 TMNT cartoon, Season 4, in an episode called Raphael Meets His Match. And no, that's not just a catchy title. Raph literally met his match. Mona started out as a brilliant college student named Yvette who got mutated into a humanoid lizard after being captured by a villain named Captain Filch. Sounds like textbook turtle territory, right? But here's the twist. She wasn't just another helpless bystander. She was tough, smart, and took charge. She had fighting skills, strong ideals, and a rebellious streak that clicked immediately with Raphael's hot-headed attitude. Their chemistry? Instant. Their teamwork? Solid. The fan reaction? Loud. People wanted more Mona, but TMNT had other plans. Despite being a total hit, Mona Lisa never came back in the original cartoon. Not because fans didn't like her, not because she didn't fit the tone, but because of a behind-the-scenes rule. Peter Laird, one of the original TMNT co-creators, was against adding female mutants to the team, especially ones who felt like romantic leads. He felt it disrupted the brotherhood vibe of the Turtles. So even though Mona Lisa was cool, capable, and completely unique, she got shelved. One and done. Erased from continuity, not for any story reason, just because the creators didn't want her around long term. To her credit, Mona Lisa did return. Kind of. In the 2012 Nickelodeon TMNT series, she was totally reimagined as a Salamandrian warrior named Yigith Gu. This version of Mona was a space soldier voiced by Zelda Williams, and guess what? She and Raphael had a full-on intergalactic slow burn romance. But while that version was cool, it wasn't the same Mona Lisa fans remembered from the 80s. The OG was still gone, a one-shot legend, lost to time. Number 3, Porygon from Pokémon. Most forgotten cartoon characters quietly fade away, but Porygon? Porygon got yeeted out of the Pokémon anime so hard, it became international news, and it wasn't even Porygon's fault. Let's go back to 1997. An episode aired that literally shook Japan. The episode was Season 1, Episode 38 of the original Pokémon anime, titled Deno Senshi Porygon, aka Electric Soldier Porygon. It was hard to find clips from this episode since it was never aired outside Japan. Plot-wise, it was simple. Ash, Misty, and Brock get zapped into a digital world to stop Team Rocket from messing with the Pokémon Center network. There they meet Porygon, a digital Pokémon that could travel through cyberspace. Cool concept. Cyberpunk vibes. Everything's going great until Pikachu blasts a set of missiles with Thunderbolt. What followed was a rapid sequence of red and blue flashing lights. About 700 children in Japan reportedly suffered symptoms like nausea, blurred vision, seizures, and even blackouts. Some had to be hospitalized. It became a national crisis. The Japanese government and Nintendo jumped into PR overdrive. The anime went on a 4-month hiatus, and that single episode became one of the most notorious banned episodes in anime history. Here's the kicker. Porygon didn't even cause the flashing. Pikachu did. But guess who never got banned? That's right. Pikachu kept his job, front and center as the face of the franchise. Meanwhile, Porygon got scapegoated and was never seen in the anime again. Not just the episode, the character. No reappearances. No redemption. Not even in episodes where its evolutions, Porygon 2 and Porygon Z, got featured in the games or cards. It was like the anime hit Control plus Alt plus Delete on Porygon and moved on. The backlash from the episode was so severe, the producers went super risk-averse. Rather than bring Porygon back and risk triggering traumatic associations or more controversy, they silently removed it. It's not officially banned, but the message was clear. Porygon equals bad press. No more screen time. Even later evolutions were never featured in episodes. And to this day, not even in cameos or background shots, Porygon remains one of the only Pokémon permanently exiled from the anime. Number 2, Bosco. Before Looney Tunes was even called Looney Tunes, there was Bosco. He was the first ever star of the series, but today, you won't see him on reruns. You won't find him in Space Jam. Bosco's been almost entirely erased from Warner Bros. History, and once you hear why, it's complicated. Let's rewind to the year 1930. Animation was still new. Sound in cartoons had just become a thing, and Warner Bros. Wanted their own answer to Disney's Mickey Mouse. Enter Hugh Harman and Rudolph Ising, two animators who had worked with Walt Disney. They pitched a character named Bosco, a cheerful, musical little guy who could dance, sing, and joke around. Basically a walking jazz melody. And guess what? Bosco became the star of the very first Looney Tunes cartoon, titled Sinkin' in the Bathtub. He was a hit. He talked, he sang, he pulled tunes out of anything and everything, even a bath. He had a girlfriend named Honey, a dog named Bruno, and was the original face of Warner Bros. Animation. Bosco's design, and this is where it gets messy, was based on the early cartoon tradition of blackface minstrelsy. He was drawn with exaggerated lips, big eyes, and a rubbery body, all of which mirrored the extremely racist depictions common in the 1920s and 30s entertainment, especially minstrel shows. He spoke in a stereotypical dialect and often leaned into those tropes for laughs. To be clear, Bosco wasn't explicitly labeled as a black character in official materials, but the design and voice made the influence impossible to ignore. And over time, as society evolved and people began reckoning with the racism baked into early media, Bosco became, well, uncomfortable. By the late 1930s, Warner Bros. Wanted to move in a different direction, more polished animation, funnier characters, less racially charged content. So Bosco quietly disappeared. He was replaced by Porky Pig, who then passed the torch to Daffy, Bugs, and the whole Golden Age Looney Tunes squad we know today. Warner Bros. Basically buried Bosco's legacy. They never brought him back in the major revivals. He wasn't featured in Space Jam, Looney Tunes Back in Action, or the HBO Max reboot. Even in anniversary specials, Bosco is skipped over. Bosco was technically the first Looney Tune. He laid the foundation for what the franchise would become, but because his design was rooted in racially insensitive stereotypes, he became one of the earliest and most quietly removed characters in cartoon history. Number 1, Max Gibson from Batman Beyond.
Your search program, Max. You've got to shut it down for your own safety.
When people think of Batman Beyond, they think Terry McGinnis, Bruce Wayne, cool suit, edgy villains. But you know who really kept things together? Max Gibson, the brains behind the bat. Or at least she was, until she quietly vanished from the screen with no explanation at all. Max Gibson was introduced in Season 2 of Batman Beyond, a super smart, super driven high school student who cracked the biggest secret in Neo-Gotham. Terry McGinnis is Batman, and instead of outing him, she wanted in. She became his oracle. Think Barbara Gordon vibes. Max hacked into security systems, tracked criminals, and covered for Terry at school. She literally told Bruce Wayne to his face, "You don't have to like me, but you need me." And she wasn't wrong. She was Terry's equal intellectually, emotionally grounded, and added serious depth to the show. Plus, she was one of the few black female characters in the Batman animated universe. But after the Batman Beyond series ended, Max was gone. She didn't appear in Justice League Unlimited when Terry showed up again. She wasn't referenced in future Batman shows or comics for a long time. Even in Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, she got like a blink and you'll miss it role. Why? The creators never gave an official reason. But here's what's often speculated. She wasn't Bat Family enough. Some think DC wanted to keep the core Batman mythos tight, Terry, Bruce, maybe Dana, and cut everyone else. She wasn't popular with fans back then. A few vocal fans thought she invaded Batman's space or wanted her to become Batgirl, which never happened. The show ended early. Batman Beyond was canceled after Season 3. Any character development for Max got left behind. It wasn't about her story being wrapped up. It was like DC just hit the delete key and moved on. Max wasn't just a tech support character. She challenged Bruce Wayne. She understood Terry. She brought balance to the dark tone of the series. And for a show that took risks, a black female co-lead in the early 2000s, that was a huge deal. But the lack of follow-through, that's where it stings. She could have evolved into her own hero, or even her own show. Instead, she became another brilliant, sidelined character who deserved more.